Good afternoon, everyone. Do you guys like money? I like money. Today, we're going to talk about money. And we're talking about crypto. We're talking about how to make some more money utilizing crypto. Bitcoin had a nice little rally to start the day off. Crypto had a little boost, but this is the volatility that always comes into the halving event. And the big question we're going to ask today is the halving event coming about, 2 days, like tomorrow night, we should see this happen. Is the Bitcoin top priced in? Do we already price in the bullishness on the halving, or are we about to have a major pump this weekend? We'll be talking about that and a whole lot more excitement that surrounds Bitcoin halving. With that said, T-Shroom, run that intro. All right, before we get too much further into the video, let's get some things out of the way. First of all, if you guys enjoy crypto and you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, smash the like button. If you're new, you can hit subscribe right now and the like button as well, but you also can wait. Username, I'll just go ahead and get this out of the way by link. I don't know why you always like for me to say that. We'll talk more about that in this video probably. Got some big things coming out. Before I introduce T-Shroom, bring him on. I have been talking with the community and I've been looking and doing a lot of analysis here recently. So I want to excite you guys, not only about the halving that's about to happen, but we got some cool things going on. I have a running list of price predictions that I've built. I have a spreadsheet for all of our trading VIP members. They can get in there and look at my spreadsheet. But I've noticed some things as I've done some more analysis. I made a lot of price predictions a couple of months ago about where a lot of the top cryptos could get to. I'm not finished building that list, but I was doing more analysis and I have to change some of my numbers. So I'm going to be updating a lot of my long-term price prediction videos. Of course, our trading group, our members, they'll get to that information first. So you want to get over in there, but look forward to the next couple of weeks for some updated price predictions on your favorite altcoins. Chainlink is one of them. I do have to say, username, I still am extremely bullish on Chainlink. I am going to lower my price prediction a little bit. You do have to wait, though. Either you have to be a member and go see my number right now, or you have to wait for me to put that video out later in the next couple of weeks. But with that said, we got a lot to talk about today. Got to introduce my co-host for the show. That is Mr. T-Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T-Shroom, are you matching me on the hat?
You know I am, Tim.
Look at this. Aren't we so cute?
We are.
Yeah. That's what my wife says. How are you doing today, T-Shroom?
Man, I thought nobody would ask me today, but I'm doing better than I deserve. I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'm very grateful. Grateful to God. Our prayers have been answered. My father's surgery went really well. I didn't tell anybody about the surgery, but it happened and it went well. So
yeah.
Very happy.
This is the first I'm hearing about it, but I'm very glad to hear Papa Shrum is on the mend and making it back. Mm-hmm. He's got a wedding to attend here in about a month and some change.
He does. Oh, usernames putting a smile on my face here. T-Shroom in the morning makes work easier. That's great.
Come on.
That is great to hear. Thank you so much. Well, we've got a quote of the day here, Tim.
Ooh.
Hard work beats talent every time. Mm-hmm. Believe this is a Jordan Belfort quote. There, that's Leonardo DiCaprio's likeness, but
I don't know. I think it might just be a reference to how hard he worked. I don't know. I don't believe that is a Belfort quote. I could be wrong. Fact check us in chat, everyone. Fact check us. Who is the original quote creator of hard work beats talent every time? It is true, though. I absolutely believe that is true. Don't get me wrong. Talent is very helpful. If you're talented at something, that's very, very good. But I cannot tell you how many times in my life I've come across people that you easily could say this one's more talented, this guy's more talented than this guy, and yet there's a work ethic dilemma that the guy who works harder, he just beats him on time after time after time. It's deadly when you have talent and a good work ethic, but those come very few and far between in my history of not analyzing it. What about you, T-Shirt? You have a lot of history with that quote?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd like to think that, for me, everything kind of goes back to Avatar: The Last Airbender. And
True.
Aang, which is on Netflix right now. It's a kind of a real motion picture version of the cartoon, which they utterly failed at the first time with the movie. But anyway, yeah, Aang is both talented and puts in the hard work. And so, I strive every day on the charts and in the trading terminal to be like Aang, the Last Airbender.
Cool. Very, very cool. Well, I'll say this. I'll tell you guys, and those who are OGs, and I'm not just talking about investing bros OGs. I mean, Tim Warren trading OGs. I mean, you knew who I am at least since back in early 2021 when I first appeared in the crypto verse. I knew nothing about trading. I feel like, and this is going to sound almost like it's going to sound like I'm both bragging and being humble. Those OGs know how terrible I used to be on the charts, how terrible I used to be in trading. They used to call me non-crypto Tim. But I got to sit there and you guys got to watch me learn about crypto, watch me learn about the charts. I think that I'm a little bit of proof in this quote today. I was not talented, far from it. But I did spend a lot of weekends, and I say a lot, I mean probably upwards of 5 months straight. My entire weekends were dedicated to studying. And here I am. Here I am getting some good calls in on the charts. Let's go ahead. Speaking of those charts, T-Shroom, let's get in here and take a look at what's happening. I want to tease another video going to come out tonight. I'm not going to talk about this in the live stream today, but I want to entice you guys to watch tonight's video. It's going to be going out at 6 p.m. I'm going to be taking a look here, but altcoins. We're taking a look at altcoins here in a second. A lot of people have been asking, when is altcoin season? When's the next altcoin season? When should we be loading up on altcoins? I'm going to be answering that question tonight. Their history tells us down to pretty much the month or a couple of weeks that the real altcoin season should start and when you should start buying altcoins. So look forward to that tonight. Right now, Bitcoin is up 3.49% today. So that's kind of one of the bigger gainers here in the top 10. That's one of the reasons why Bitcoin dominance is slightly back up today. Ethereum only up 1.44. Good to see our stable coins are in the green, even though that's concerning. They should just stay at zero nonstop. Binance up 3.27. Solana up 4%. Let's see the bigger ones. Toncoin 4%. Cardano not even up 1%, kind of stabilizing there. And so our big winner today is Solana, followed by Bitcoin right behind it in the top 10. But let's go outside of that top 100 coins. What's winning? What's losing? I do not like what that just did. That was really glitchy. So we're going to start this over. There we go. Gala, up 6%. Our biggest winner, only up 6%. Same as Stacks. You guys know I love me some Stacks. We're going to talk. Stacks is probably going to come up during the video because we have a lot of topics that have to do with Bitcoin halvings and Bitcoin layer 2s and BRC20. So Stacks is going to be probably one of my larger holdings when all of this is said and done. Up 6% on the day. Acash is up. Toncoin, KuCoin. Surprisingly, KuCoin up. DYDX. Now, DYDX, be careful. Remember, we've been talking about May is going to be a large unlock on DYDX, I do believe. We have to go double check that, but there's a chance DYDX has a nice cool off coming soon. Big unlock coming its way. Big losers of the day: Core down 9%, Sui down 7%, Nervos down 6.7%, Athena. Notice a lot of these coins in the top losers. These have over the last couple of weeks been some of the most ridiculous gainers. Like if you go to my screen, my full screen T-Shroom, you guys know I have my little trading dungeon here, and right here I got this nice bubble. Well, look at that. Core nice and red, the biggest one on my chart right now. Core's in the red, but there was days where Core was this just really, really big bubble. Same with Athena, same with Nervos. So big gainers here more recently, but a lot of times when you have these parabolic runs, you end up kind of having a little bit of a fall off. And that's exactly what we're seeing here with these bigger coins. That's going to wrap up our big movers, big gainers, our market cap open of the day. Before we get into the charts, T-Shirt, anything you want to say to the people before we cut it loose on the charts?
Well, just to further analyze that from a coin bubble standpoint, it's true. And Core is kind of the prime example here. Core has just been pumping and pumping as the rest of the markets have been dumping, and now it's the reverse. Why? Well, because this is how whales like to play it. This is how the crypto sophisticated traders like to play it. So you pump up a coin, keep it going, stay in that coin while the rest of the market is dumping, right? And then you sell the top and you rotate back into the value that you like, whether it be HBAR, Binance, AGIX, pick your favorite green coin today. In fact, this is a pretty good day to get a barometer of value, right? What is being rotated into aggressively, what is not being rotated into aggressively. One that's surprising me is Gala, right? Gala, a huge winner in the GameFi narrative
big winner today,
last bull run. So it's interesting to see, of course, not a surprise, Chainlink getting a nice bid today. So Yeah, that would be my extrapolation, my insight here from the markets. Let's take a look at the charts, Tim.
Let's do it. And we're gonna kind of be a little brief at the beginning with the charts. I always say that and then I run long, but it's gonna kind of get us into the big question of the day. From a macro perspective, we're sitting here a couple of weeks past not only the high of this run, but the new all-time high for Bitcoin. We came up here almost pressing towards $74,000, and of course have a couple of weeks before the halving come back down to the downside. And it's going to be the big question everyone's asking. Did we see the big run for now when there's a cool-off coming? Was the halving priced in? Meaning everyone looking at the halving event that comes here again tomorrow night and saying this is going to be such a bullish catalyst. Well, did everyone buy their Bitcoin early? And now that everyone has their Bitcoin and the event's coming, is this a sell the news type of a situation? Or is this cool off just a nice little cool off that's going to go into this very, very bullish situation, the halving event, and then we're going to take off to the upside? Go vote in chat. We got 102 people already voted on will Bitcoin pump or dump after halving. It's pretty evenly split. We got a nice array of answers. 33% of you are saying pump, 37% saying dump, and then 30% of you guys are saying sideways. So not a clear leader right now amongst the popular vote. We'll see how that goes later on in the show. But let's go back over to the charts here, T-Shroom, and let's just talk about what we do see going on right now, starting off down on the 4-hour chart. Now, if you're in the trading group, I put this in here this morning. This is actually at least a short-term, very bullish move. And very is a strong term here. It's bullish. We broke above a descending level of resistance, this falling yellow line. And when you look at the formation we were in, we talked before about the descending triangle. We had a level of flat support around 61,700 or so. But this is also a bearish channel that more often than not does break to the upside. Now, before we get too crazy with how bullish that is, this is a small channel, which means you're also probably expecting a very small breakout. At the very greatest level, I think potentially you see this maybe make a move back up here towards 67,300, back up towards a former support level. Maybe we turn it into resistance. So I want to make sure you guys understand this formation that's breaking bullish right now, that's doing what it should be doing, does not mean that this is a run back up to all-time high. And I'll address where I think we need to get to kind of change the bearish sentiment that's in Bitcoin right now. But for now, let's take our small wins where we get them. And we do have a bullish breakout. I told our group today in the trading, this morning, if you're already in the trading group, you heard this, but I said keep an eye on somewhere around here on 64,500, maybe even as high as 65,000, give or take, the smart trail concept here on the 4-hour chart. We ended up getting close to that level around 64,200. We have a small rejection right here, and I want to show you guys why, even though ALGO is showing us a take profit level higher up here towards 67 and is absolutely doable, I want to show you why potentially I'm not necessarily keen on that prediction. ALGO, of course, the tool we use for trading, and they have these amazing buying suggestions and take profit suggestions, but you got to keep your brain turned on and know how to read the indicators and not just blindly buy when you see something green or sell when you see something red. Understand the circumstance of what's happening. I need to see the next couple of hours play out. But right now, while we did have this buy flash both on the 4-hour and on the 1-hour, you'll see over here, notice that they both came on candles that were really the top, and the price action reversed and went to the downside. So we have these take profit levels up towards 67, maybe even up closer towards 70K, but we're seeing the buy signals that flash come at levels of rejection. This actually happened to us just a couple of weeks ago. Remember when we had a buy flash back here? I said this on one of our live shows. I said, yes, we had a buy flash on the 4-hour chart, but I did not like the next couple of candles, how instead of continuing to move to the upside, we killed over. I went ahead and told you guys, yes, we had a buy flash, but this is not going to be one that holds up. It's actually a sign of how strong the bears are. And sure enough, a couple of candles later, we get a sell flash that ends up confirming and moving us to the downside. That kind of tells us right now that until the trend has changed, the bears are in control here on the 4-hour chart. I just want you guys to understand that. The bulls are winning a little bit for right now. They're winning a battle, but as of late, they've won one battle in a series of losses. And so I want to make sure you guys just get that, you hear that, you see that. I do like that the money flow is slowly moving back to the upside here. This is the ALGO oscillator, but someone might be asking, Tim, are you super bullish at this point? Well, we did have a nice little long flash. We had our reversal dot, green momentum, and the positive money flow, but that money flow starting to keel over and move sideways again. We did get a little touch right there into our order block, which is our take profit suggestion mark. So again, you probably would have entered this long somewhere back in here around 61,000. You would have taken profit anywhere from the bottom here around 63.3. Maybe you get a little more greedy and wait for that 64.6, which hasn't happened yet. But either way, we did have that small bullish flash, but the daily chart not as generous here. Daily chart still showing us that we have some more potential room to the downside. We talked about this yesterday. Talked about it actually for the last couple of days. Bitcoin is getting to the halving, still has a lot of confluence here saying that a $56,000 to $55,000 level could be interesting. I told you guys based off the 4-hour chart yesterday, we probably would have some form of a bounce, but the daily chart has not necessarily changed its tune. This is one, again, let's take a look here and just see who's in control more recently. Right after a long time of these bullish calls being very successful, the bearish ones now are the ones that actually are giving us fruit. Bad bullish call right here, but two very good bearish calls. And of course, it's asking for a take profit down here, starting at 58,900, could get as low as 54.4. I kind of like the middle spots around 56, 55. And that has confluence, of course, with our high block indicator here. This is a link. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, though, and see what it's doing. I passed it. There we go, Bitcoin. And we'll go to our 1 month. Take a look what it is saying. Oh, look at that. Just refresh the page. Refresh the page. There we go. All things are better when you refresh. Don't you love T-Shroom when your life gets a nice refresh button? Is that good for you?
Oh, man. Tim, there's nothing better than that refresh, I can really attest to that.
There we go. All right. Heavy level of liquidity coming in down here. Guess what? Between 55, 56. So that's another reason we're kind of looking at those levels. If the bulls make a push, I told T-Shirt this earlier. I rounded to 70K to kind of say, let's get to 70K to feel extremely confident about bullish action again. But when you look at the charts here, heavy liquidity here around just south of 73, around $73,000. And you come over here and you take a look at, let's just even see the 4-hour chart. You don't really have a breaking of the lower highs and lower lows until you get back up here pretty much above $72,000. So you're seeing that the charts and the liquidation levels pairing up. The expectation with the bearish movement is 55, 56 still looks to be in play. But to cancel out that bearishness, we could get to 66, 67, 68. We really need to see a move back up towards above 70, towards 72 to feel like the bearish downward action is over. This just happens with bearish price action. You do have these bounces and these moments that you're going to get people flipping and saying, was that the bottom? Is the bottom in? Well, unfortunately, as long as you're in a trend of lower highs and lower lows, you still should be following the trend. I don't say this a lot, but there's a saying that says the trend is your friend until it ends. Well, guess what, guys? This trend ends when we get back up above 70K and start pushing towards 72. Until then, you always have to be just a little cautious that the bottom isn't necessarily quite in yet. We've talked about longer term falling action. Let's just keep it there. Let's stay positive as we're getting closer into the halving event. I think that, again, that 56, 55 looks enticing still to me. It might not happen till after the halving, though. And we're going to address now, kind of transition here from looking at the charts and answering that question to looking at some of the major news stories. There was a big bank that actually offered this question and pretty much gave their answer. They believe that the halving was baked in, that price action on Bitcoin has a lot further to go to the downside. Let's hear what their thoughts are, their arguments, and then we'll address it. And T-Shroom and I will give you our opinions. T-Shroom, while everyone else smashes the like button, why don't you go and take us away into the news?
Let's do it, Tim. Well, over here is the Bitcoin halving already priced in. JP Morgan, maybe you've heard of him, expects Bitcoin to tank after the upcoming event, after the halving there. Bitcoin halving rally priced in. JP Morgan sees a Bitcoin downturn after the incoming halving as the event is likely priced in. Just for reference, how close are we? 1 day and 5 hours according to nicehash.com. Let's get back to the story here. We do not see We do not expect, Bitcoin price increases post-halving, as it has already been priced in. In fact, we see a downside for the Bitcoin price post-halving for several reasons. JP Morgan strategist led by Nicholas P. wrote in April 2017 report. I'm sorry, April 17th report, so yesterday. Goodness gracious, haven't had my Wheaties yet today, folks. As unprofitable Bitcoin miners exit the Bitcoin network, we anticipate a significant drop in the hash rate and consolidation among Bitcoin miners, with a highest share for publicly listed Bitcoin miners. With the halving just one day away, the much-awaited Bitcoin halving is almost here, and the crypto community is looking forward to the Bitcoin price reaction to it. After the looming fourth halving, miners will earn 3.125 Bitcoin instead of the current 6.25 Bitcoin for validating transactions and creating new blocks on the blockchain. So overall here, JP Morgan giving a few reasons of why they think that the halving is actually going to be bearish. And most of it seems to be because it's priced in, right? So it's kind of difficult to argue with that because it's so the data on that is going to be very nebulous. However, we can kind of speculate here whether or not we agree. And I think overall, I do think that there is going to be a good amount of folks who've already gotten in. But the thing about the halving is that it's a supply shock catalyst. And so that supply shock, we don't know exactly when that's going to take place. But we absolutely know that if the inflows from the spot Bitcoin ETFs are any consolation, there is huge pockets of untapped demand that, all it takes is a catalyst like the ETF to open up those pockets, and then you get a huge influx. Now that we're moving into a post-halving world, the new supply of Bitcoin, right, that comes in through the miners and then gets sold by the miners into the market is going to have a supply shock type of a phenomenon. So I don't completely disagree with JP Morgan's analysis. To be honest with you, most of the stuff that we get here from Nicholas P. is pretty on point. It's kind of objective. It's not a bunch of opinion. But this time I definitely don't fully agree with him. I do think that the Bitcoin halving is a economic event that can never be fully priced in.
Yeah, let's address this from a couple different levels. I saw someone in chat ask, I think it was Renok Mehedi Tonmoy. I probably did not pronounce that correctly, but thank you for the comment. He said, "Bros, don't you think JP Morgan always says the opposite of their actual belief?" Let's address that right there. So if this was Jamie Dimon saying it, what we know historically is that CEOs of JP Morgan lie to their users to manipulate price action. I don't know this particular person. He's a strategist. I don't know his track record of predictions. What I do know is there's been several times, even over the last couple of months, where Jamie Dimon goes on a forum saying Bitcoin sucks, stay away from it. But then you have Jamie Dimon does that, and then JP Morgan strategists saying Bitcoin looks to go up. Our numbers, we have bullish price predictions. The next couple of weeks should be bullish. So the strategists are not necessarily Jamie Dimon. So I'm not going to throw them under the same bus. I will say I don't necessarily think that the strategists have the greatest grasp of crypto. A lot of them are taking their years of understanding and education in the stock market and trying to apply the same rules to crypto, and that doesn't necessarily always translate well. There's little things here and there that can translate, but you do need to understand crypto's history, crypto's price action, crypto's volatility to make realistic predictions here. And here's where I would agree that I think that 73,000 was baked in. But the concept of going a lot lower, I don't know if he gives a full out price prediction.
No.
But to me, I think 56, 55 makes sense there. What happens when things are baked in? It just means after a price gets baked in, the price needs to cool off. Well, 73,000 happened, almost 74,000. Was that baked in for not only the Bitcoin halving, but also, remember, recent news we've gotten, a lot of people heavily believed that we would start seeing rate cuts either this month or June. And now we're hearing we'll be lucky if we get a rate cut by September, let alone even one in the year 2024. So we actually had two major bullish catalysts that I think potentially 73,000 was baked into. not only the Bitcoin halving, but also the potential timeline around the halving also coming with the first rate cut. Well, we're not going to get the rate cut, so that sucks. And the Bitcoin halving is here. However, let's take a look real quickly, T-Shroom, at what pullbacks have looked like here on Bitcoin. Investing Bros OGs, or people who've been watching for a couple months now, you've seen this, so stay with us. But for anyone who's new, take a look at Bitcoin since the bottom back in November of 2022. We hit 15,500, give or take, and then we started to rally. Higher highs, higher lows. We have a nice little 22% pullback right there here in March. We have another one right here in April of 2023. Another one right here in August 2023. You kind of move this over. I'm going to just keep moving this. We have another one right here, 22% back in January of 2024. So what we see here is Bitcoin during this bull market, it's kind of magic number for being corrected and being overextended and pricing things in and having a cool off is not 30, 40, 50% like we've seen in historical bull markets. It's 20 to 22%. And when we take a look at that, maybe this one's a little more extreme, but where does that price give us? Well, that'll give us the $57,000, $56,000, give or take, for that 20. Technically, that's 23,000, but or 23%. You get my point here. I agree with them that 73K probably was baking in the halving event and the cuts coming. But I also think, and I said this in a tweet a couple days ago, we're down just as I predicted we would. I mean, we called it here pretty perfectly how far alts would fall, how far Bitcoin would fall. I've said I don't know if the dip is over just yet, but I think we're a lot closer to the bottoms than most people give us credit. And in this case, while I agree that we were overextended and needed a correction, I'm also going to say I don't think that correction is as steep as some people think. We're not talking about the same bull market way back here where in June of 2019, we got overextended and ended up having a nice little 50% correction. We're not talking about, we go further back into these bull markets where we had several different 40% pullbacks, and this was just a normal thing. That one right there, again, 40%. You move this over, it happened several more times throughout that bull market. We're more mature now as we've gotten higher market caps and more people invested. And so therefore, just like the stock market is not as volatile as crypto, Bitcoin's not going to be as volatile as these other altcoins that have fallen 40 or 50%. And it's not even as volatile as it used to be in previous bear markets. The 22% that we're looking at here for a pullback, that's the new 40% for Bitcoin. And I think people need to get used to that. Now, I can't say that with 100% certainty. There is still a chance you go lower. We've talked about the potential 48K. But to me, unless I see something new bearish come out, the correction normality for Bitcoin is 23%, 22%.
Yeah. And again, I think that, the analysts here are different from JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon. And, overall, I do think that they're making a good point. It's something that I've heard crypto analysts been talking about for a while, right? Is the halving baked in? So it's not a super new question, but being asked from such a high priest, right, of Wall Street, an analyst at JP Morgan, it does kind of give the market pause, and it could be playing a role in why we're seeing rather muted bullishness on the charts.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, regardless of whether or not JP Morgan is 100% correct on this, or Nicholas P., the analyst for JP Morgan, is 100% correct, or if he's only 20% correct, it kind of doesn't matter, because price today is giving you a discount on an asset that is a hedge against just a gigantic failure of fiat currency, a gigantic failure and miscalculation of trying attempts to manipulate the bond market, and these terribly run fiscal policies and on the congressional side of the U.S. And they do their best on the monetary side. Old Jerome Powell. But overall, if you believe that those things are trending in the negative direction, TradFi, government fi, then you should continue to buy Bitcoin, regardless of whether or not the halving is priced in. Now, we've talked about how Bitcoin could potentially go lower, and it can, right? But that would just further give you a buy thesis if you have any dry powder left. So that's kind of my understanding here, Tim, and I think you broke it down pretty well.
Yeah, we have two questions before we move on here.
Yep.
Charles Benitez says, if we go to 57K, do you think we will wick quickly, or will you think we have a slow bleed? I can't say what the speed is to get down there. What I would say is if we hit 57, 56, and we stay there for a while, that probably would give a higher probability of that's not the bottom, and we might start heading down towards that 50K, 48K. My expectation is when we hit the 57, 56, whether we hit it quickly on the downside or whether we hit it slowly, when we hit the bottom, I think high volume will come in and we'll shoot back up probably to 60K relatively quickly. Is that going to be 5 minutes, 1 hour? I don't know about that fast, but I'd be surprised if it ends up being the bottom to see more than one candle down at that level on the daily chart. I think the very next day we're sitting back up above 60. The second question we had here, TIK saying, why should the price price decrease before/during the halving? Well, when you've had a really high explosive run beforehand, it's very customary for you to cool off going into it. Really quickly, share my screen. Even on all of these, I want to show people what's happened here. These are the past halving events. Take a look at this one back in May of 2020. We're rallying into the event just a couple of days before. We get some blue candles, some bearish candles into the halving event. Then right after, we kind of go back up and then trade sideways and rally. But there, days before, we kind of dipped. You come back over here and you go all the way back to 2016. This one, instead of days before, it actually happened a couple of weeks before. We rallied a little too fast, corrected, traded sideways through, had one more quick flash crash, kind of like what I just described right there with a wick on one candle going low and then shooting back up. And then, of course, we rallied to the upside. But then even the first one, way back here in 2013, you zoom in here, sure enough, same detail. We're rallying, and those 2 days leading into the halving event ended up having some blue candles where price dipped. I know that doesn't look very big, but it's going to be bigger than you actually would think. Bitcoin price, those 2 days fell. Oh, that's actually not that big at all. 6% going into the halving event. Either way, it's historically actually pretty normal to have rallies leading close to the halving event and then a pullback into it. And the decision becomes, do we trade sideways? Do we rally right on the halving? But that's the historical precedent right there, Jutex, as for why price is probably dipping this halving once again.
Yep. And it's just a major.
Hey, I don't know if it's just me. You muted on my end.
And I was just going to say, it's an event, right? So whenever there's an event, people have been pricing for that event. The market's been pricing for that. And then once the event happens, the market reprices. And in this case, we're seeing a reprice before the event happens. So there's been a run up to it, anticipation, and a distortion to the upside of the markets because of the ETF, right? That this time last year, nobody was kind of tracking that there would be an ETF that would be so significant. And then you get into the summer and the ETF is in full view, that in full focus. That's all anybody cares about until January, where you actually get that decision. And then, it was sell the news, but then it kind of kept going up from there, if you didn't notice on the charts. And so now, we're getting to this event that was supposed to be the biggest event, and it kind of has been overshadowed. But I would say that's okay, right? Overshadow it all you want. We're still having an event that still has an economic impact on the underlying commodity, Bitcoin, right? The new issuance of Bitcoin is that nothing has changed about that fact that is going to be cut in half, and therefore less supply moves into circulation. So overall, that's why, right? Markets price and then reprice events, and we move on. And ultimately, either you believe that Bitcoin is superior to fiat currency or you don't. And that is the majority of where I derive my conviction, is in the fact that it is superior to fiat and it hasn't been hacked, right? There hasn't been any kind of structural issues that you would be concerned about, similar to how you would be concerned about $33 trillion of debt on the Federal Reserve side. So that's the way that I'm thinking about it. Great questions, though. Greg Gressick here in the chat, a long-time bro. He said, bro, you guys are always streaming. Yeah. And sometimes we even go live on YouTube.
I don't know if I...
That's okay.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. Let's move it along. What's next?
Let's see. We got Kyle Field said, do you think we'll see liquidation from companies that can't support their mining operation with decreased rewards? Liquidation. not sure exactly what you mean. You mean by bankruptcy in terms of like mining companies or mining operations? Some Bitcoin miners will be basically bricked, right? They will
Yeah,
no
but
longer be useful.
assuming what he's saying is, what happens if they go out of business? That shouldn't mean that they need to sell their Bitcoin. If anything, Kyle, what would cause them to sell and have liquidation would be they want to stay in business, and to stay in business with the increased price, they need to sell off a little bit of their supply so they can keep funding the new computers and the new miners and stuff. So I actually would say if we see a max exodus of miners, they're actually going to want to hold on to as much Bitcoin as they have because they're not creating any new ones. Why would you want to separate from your Bitcoin you think is about to go parabolic? I would want to hold it. I only want to sell it if my thought is I got to sell some now so I can make some more later. So good thought there. Super chat from Greg saying sending love and support to one of my one of your favorite channels, Greg. Wow, see how it is. See how it is. I thought we were number one in your hearts and your minds. I'm just kidding. I love you, Greg.
We
Thank you
love
for
you,
the
Greg.
super chat.
What a
All
guy.
right, let's get in the next topic here. I know we got probably a couple more, right?
We do. Yeah, a couple more. Real quick, let's get into this one here. We mentioned it briefly. Bitcoin price shows shows strength as IMF attests to spread and intensity of Bitcoin transactions ahead of halving. There's a lot to this story, so I'll just summarize it quickly. Essentially, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, kind of came at your boy, the U.S. government, today and said, hey, y'all suck. Y'all need to quit spending so much money and going into so much debt for a lot of reasons, but mainly because y'all fund us. And secondly, we won't be able to issue loans to the rest of the world if y'all go under. So we need you to not do that. And also, Bitcoin is getting used a lot. So y'all better not screw this up or else Bitcoin's going to take over. And that is surprising. That's a very, very liberal interpretation of what the report read as, but that seems to be what the market consensus is. And I stand by that. So we'll move on. But the IMF kind of putting out some words there that you wouldn't have expected. I'm sure there'll be some more in-depth scholarly analysis of that story elsewhere. But we'll move along because we want to talk about the BRC narrative, which is picking up steam here. New protocol allows altcoins to run on Bitcoin. You heard it right. They've made these breakthroughs, my friends, and there's a lot. There's a lot to love about it. As the launch approaches, its effects are already noticeable, with transaction fees on the Bitcoin network increasing dramatically. Fees have surged by over 45% in just one day, and a staggering 892.7% compared to last year. This rise highlights the growing excitement and activity around the new protocol. Now, does this mean that fees have gone up 45% for you to transact in Bitcoin? Not exactly. Don't think that you're not going to be able to sell your Bitcoin or send your Bitcoin without paying some astronomical fee. This is good because this incentivizes miners, right? This incentivizes miners to continue to operate the gigantic computer that is Bitcoin. So we'll move on here. Bitcoin entrepreneur Dan Held describes this method as the simple, strict improvement over BRC20. Okay, and this is all sitting here describing this new technology of runes, which expands capabilities by using Bitcoin's UTXO's unspent transactions output to support a broad token system. Essentially, a single rune can be represented varying amounts of multiple tokens, enhancing Bitcoin's functionality. So it's a help, not a hindrance. Seems to be the early market consensus on runes, but it doesn't stop there. We've got more quotation here from Dan Held, as he said, runes operations do not create a leftover useless UTXO. I've learned that the hard way, that the market doesn't particularly care about the technical improvements, so I'm glad that the market is hyped about runes, even if it's for speculative reasons, and hopefully it results in a general improvement on the network, Held wrote. A couple more details here, and then we'll break it down a little further. DeFi researcher Ignis warns that real investment opportunities may only appear after the initial hype cools down, hype in runes, and BRC20 probably more generally. Ignis explains that the influx of rune tokens could initially dilute trader attention and investment per token, potentially causing their novelty and value to diminish quickly. Right, so there's a lot to break down there, but essentially there's more activity going on top of Bitcoin, being on top of Bitcoin. This is something we've seen a lot for a long time over on Ethereum, but recently breakthroughs similar to ordinals and BRC20 tokens has made it to where you can actually build little ecosystems on top of Bitcoin. Now you might be sitting there being like, T-Shroom, I do not know what you're talking about. Just like you can open up an app on a computer, right? You can create an app or a DApp or computational functionality on the blockchain, and Bitcoin is a blockchain, right? So Bitcoin is just one gigantic computer distributed across many miners all over the world, and one thing you can do with it is essentially mint NFTs, right? and or inscriptions in Bitcoin's case. And so these are all the rage. The kids are getting hyped about it, not just kids, people of all ages. And so there's also Stacks. Stacks co-creator Mineb Ali believes Layer 2 will catalyze next Bitcoin revolution. There's some language in here I really am fond of. Ali termed the current trend as Bitcoin Season 2, portraying it as a mature, bustling market where developers are not just participating but actively innovating. Depending on the market price of $1.2 trillion in capital, less than 1% of Layer 2 solutions are currently active. So Tim, what are your thoughts on this? First of all, there's a lot of headiness going on here. You're probably asking, do I need a comp sci degree to understand this stuff? And then the third question is probably, can I make money off of this? Where do I buy? How do I make money? What are you thinking about BRC20? I know that we've talked about it before and we're very bullish on it, but after reading some of this information and the latest on it, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's ultimately going to come in and compete with other layer ones. It's going, and when I say layer ones, I mean it's going to compete with. Right now, Ethereum has a pretty good stronghold on the market when it comes to sending and transacting with ERC20. Now Bitcoin's coming with BRC20. I do believe I agree with the article here that this is just very normal. People who have studied and know what's about to happen, who can get invested on runes early, they will ride this roller coaster where price will go up and they can make money, but they'll have to pinpoint the place they want to take profit because price will come back down. And then we'll find price discovery and what's fair, and then it'll start the real bullish market. But why am I so bullish on BRC20 and Bitcoin layer 2s? Is because even though we already have Ethereum ERC20 and we already have a bunch of scaling solutions for Ethereum, there's this whole section of Bitcoin lovers. We call them Bitcoin maxis, right? They don't want to touch anything in crypto except for Bitcoin. Well, they got a rude awakening, not a rude awakening, but like a taste of what the rest of the crypto space was enjoying when ordinals came out here last year. That was when we first started putting NFTs on Bitcoin. And the miners thought, sorry, not the miners, the Bitcoin maxis, the Bitcoin lovers were like, oh, this isn't actually that bad. We actually kind of like this. This actually incentivizes the miners who were struggling to make money before. This incentivizes them to stay around and keep mining, and they can make some money. We need more miners. We need to keep the whole concept of building and growing Bitcoin decentralized. So this is not a bad thing. And now we're fasting forward and they're saying, wait a minute, all that stuff that people were doing on Ethereum, we can do that here on Bitcoin and incentivize more miners to stay around. We now not only can do the NFT thing, but we actually can transact several different coins. And there's a story I was looking at earlier today, T-Shroom, that one of the people kind of coming in to even help them, a coin that we've been big on here over the last month or so, ICP will be partnering with Runes and getting these BRC20s brought in. Of course, ICP, an interoperability coin, mostly in the AI world, but they're going to be supporting this Runes launch here. So I guess what I want people to know, there will be people who tell you that you got to get in right this second or you're going to miss out. And I don't think that's completely true. I think we're going to see a normal thing happen where we'll have a run of excitement and the price will go crazy to the upside. And then, like the article said, it'll cool off. It'll come back down. I'm still bullish on this long term, but don't be surprised to see some pretty hectic volatility. Don't feel like just because you didn't catch the original pump, you've missed the boat completely. I do believe this is a situation where the boat will come back, but still have some major gains. I'm excited for Runes long term, but I think I'm going to be a wait and see. I think I'm going to sit on the sideline and watch the crazies go in and out of it for a while, and then when I like the stabilization of what the price action is doing, I'll look to jump in.
I like it. Zach Martin said he had to take a call. He hopes he didn't miss the factoid. You did not miss the factoid
Did
yet.
not.
Kyle Field said, don't care because majority don't understand it. This is an excellent point. This is an excellent insight. I think the majority, well, a lot of people who have bought Bitcoin could care less about the rest of crypto. They look at crypto as scams and Ponzi's. And to be honest with you, that's not a terrible way to look at the rest of crypto. It's a way that you'll get left behind on a lot of opportunities. But perhaps you'll sidestep a lot of scams and a lot of loss and time invested in something that doesn't matter. Kyle makes a good point here. He doesn't care because people don't understand it. I would say that is true, right? And that this is honestly it's different from what you just said, Tim, but it is a similar conclusion, which is wait and see, right? Watch how the industry evolves. We are already early to Bitcoin. In some sense, that's good enough, right? For our individual financial understanding. You get to one Bitcoin, you're probably going to be good when it comes to retirement goals and things like that. I mean, we'll see. There's definitely a ton of risk still baked into that type of approach. But if you have Bitcoin and you didn't buy it yesterday, you're probably pretty good. So how much more these BRC20s do you need to spend a bunch of time researching and all this and all that? Well, here's one way to think about it. If you go to magiceden.io, which is where you can kind of keep track of a lot of these type of collectible projects, I'm on the Ethereum tab here, right? And you can see there's some familiar names: Pudgy Penguins, right? Beeple, okay, you've probably heard of Beeple, and then Bored Ape Yacht Club, you've definitely heard of that one. Mm-hmm. Now, what you'll notice here is you could go over to the Solana tab, right? And then you can see all of the Solana collectibles here. And maybe you haven't heard of these, but a lot of people have. And these are trading at 300 Solana, 120 Solana, which is a lot of money, right?
A lot of money, yeah.
Same thing over here on Ethereum, right? 39 ETH floor price for CryptoPunks, right? And so on and so forth. These are not small totals. These are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. But now you can go to not only Polygon, you can go to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has collectibles built on top of it in the way that we've attempted to describe, right? And you can see there's Ordinal Maxi Biz, Node Monkeys, Rune X, Unnamed Grails, Ordinal Penguins, similar to Pudgy Penguins, right? And if you click on this, let's look at the Ordinal Penguins. Right now, here are all the NFTs that you can buy on BRC20. Now, some of you are sitting here thinking like, Teacher Room, again, this is just way too much. I kind of don't care about this. Even if it's worth one Bitcoin, or this Ordinal Penguin 3,492, it's got the laser eyes. That's kind of cool. I wouldn't mind having it, but the amount of work and the amount of risk, it just seems like a lot of work, right? And that's why these are valuable, is because when you can get in early into a collectibles wave, right, then you are going to succeed. But these prices are already very, very high, I would say. Are they going to go higher? Probably. I mean, going into a bear market, this one right here, Ordinal's Penguin 47, 6.9 Bitcoin, kind of unreal, right? So we're going to continue to monitor this industry. It's not going anywhere. The industry of Bitcoin collectibles, it's certainly not going anywhere. I have not bought anything other than stacks and ordinals. Ordicoin, right? So if you just want to, kind of tiptoe into this space, this is a good way to do it. Just the coin stacks and the coin ordi, right? And neither one of these really are all that tested, right? So be aware of that. These are not going back to 2009 like Bitcoin is, right? But these are a good way to kind of get exposure to the BRC20 narrative without going in, getting some crazy wallet you've never heard of before, and trying to buy one of these NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain. So don't feel the FOMO and make a mistake that you're going to regret. Full stop.
Cool.
That's kind of the way that I see it.
Let's before we move on here, I want to address shout out to Crux. Love Crux in here, one of our moderators. Also, a lot of you guys know Crux is a third bro. He's actually working with the team, doing a lot of research. This will be a conversation, Crux. I think it'll be really good to have in our next members only stream. I want to address though 2 comments you make here. Bitcoin maxis hate BRC20s, NFTs, etc. They just want Bitcoin to be a store of value. I think there are still some good old classic Bitcoin maxis who I think you're discussing, but the truth is a lot of the VCs on a lot of these new Bitcoin projects are those Bitcoin maxis who will not touch another altcoin with a 10-foot pole. So I kind of, Crux, disagree with that statement that all of them, well, you didn't say all, but Bitcoin maxis hate BRC20s. I think there's a lot of them that actually do love them. Even if they don't plan on utilizing them, they understand the role that BRC20s and NFTs can play in the future health of Bitcoin as a whole. Now, your second comment here, Bitcoin already takes on average 1 hour for to settle and is going to get much more congested. This is where I agree with you is, yes, it could get more congested if it was not for the emergence of the things such as Bitcoin, the Lightning Network, and then also layer twos. In the same way, Ethereum has a bunch of problems with not necessarily time-wise congestion, but it gets congestion in the gas fees place where it's like, if you want to get something done, you're just going to pay an exuberant amount of gas fees. Well, what's the solver for that one? The Bitcoin layer twos like Matic, Optimism, Arbitrum. As T-Shroom just got finished telling you, one of the biggest coins him and I are both holding in preparation for this is Stacks. Why? Because, for lack of a better way to put it, Stacks to Bitcoin is what Matic and Optimism and Arbitrum are to Ethereum. And so while I agree with you, if there was near twos and there was no Lightning Network, that this could be really bad for Bitcoin. I think you see Lightning Network and Stacks come in to help take a load off of Bitcoin with the congestion. And in that way, again, it's going to be a trickling effect. But the same way Ethereum overall benefits from the layer twos and the ERC20 tokens and everything built on Ethereum, this will all build, it'll bleed into Bitcoin's price as well. A, keeping the miners happy by being profitable, and B, all these transactions happening on Bitcoin are going to be good for the price of Bitcoin. And that's why I'm not going to say 100% of them, but actually a decent amount of Bitcoin maxis are in support of the expansion in the Bitcoin ecosystem rather than the expansion in Ethereum or Solana or Cardano or these other layer ones. But I will say, again, Crux, that's not to anyone who's listening to that, that's not to say that Crux hasn't put a lot of research into this. So I think this would be an awesome conversation for next Wednesday. Remind us, all of our members, but Wednesdays at about 4:15 Eastern Standard Time, we have members only streams where we have a lot of these deeper conversations and we interact with the public as well. Crux, I think this would be a great conversation to continue to research and then have possibly next Wednesday. With that said, though, we spent a lot of time on that topic. We have not even gotten to our factoid of the day, and do we have any more topics of discussion, T-Stream, or are we getting to the factoid and the Q&A?
Well, Tim, you make an excellent point, and we are ready to go ahead and get to the factoid of the day, brought to you by iTrust Capital. We trust iTrust, and there is a link for iTrust in the live comments, and it should be pinned in the very first comment. So we're very excited about that. If you are looking to continue to invest in Bitcoin or your favorite altcoins, go ahead and click on that link. Set up your IRA in iTrust Capital. Again, we trust iTrust. And so should you. Go ahead and set that up today. Tim, when you're thinking about investing in crypto, are you thinking about tax advantaged accounts?
Oh, I mean, I'm always thinking about it. I mean, we started the video off. You want to make money? Well, guess what? In case you guys did not know, I don't know if I'm going to break any, ice blocks above people's heads right here. You have to pay taxes on your crypto gains. If you hold for a long time, over a year, you have what's called long-term capital gains, where you only have to pay. I think it depends on where you live, but it's going to be somewhere closer to 15%. But if you do it anything less than 1 year, it's upwards of 35%. And I think in certain states, it's actually even higher than that. Those of you who think like me and are like, man, how do I make money in Bitcoin that changes my life, make money in crypto that changes my life, but not pay any money to the IRS, or at least pay as little as possible? That's where iTrust and Roth IRAs come into account. I mean, some of you might already know about Roth IRAs from traditional finance, but this allows you to take money in crypto right now, file it in a Roth IRA, and then after a certain period of time, after you go to retire, you can remove all of your crypto gains and spend them tax-free. And I just want you to think about this. A lot of people are putting in US dollars or stocks that they're going to wait 30 years to get out and take out tax-free. Well, if I put $100,000 of a normal stock in, maybe best case scenario, I'm turning that into maybe $1 million after 30 years. Think about it right now. If you could get a whole Bitcoin in right now, you're only spending $63,000. Whereas in the next 30 years, when you go to take that tax free, your profit's not 63,000 to 1 million. We're probably talking about upwards of 10, 15, 20 million. I have no idea where Bitcoin price is going to be here in 30 years, but I can tell you right now, it's going to be a lot higher than what you're going to get if you were to do the traditional route and just go in traditional investing via stocks. This is the play. This is the play right now to buy crypto cheap. And I know that sounds crazy, but 63,000 for Bitcoin is cheap. 3,000 for Ethereum is cheap. 45 cents for Cardano, 140 for Solana. These are cheap buying levels. Buy them, store them for your future, for your kids, and take them out, not paying a single dime to Uncle Sam, and take all that money for you and your family.
Right. We trust, I trust, Tim. By the 7th century, paper had been introduced to Japan from what other country? Was it China, Mongolia, Korea, or Sweden?
Okay, so this is stupid because China and Mongolia are the same thing. I think it's a trick question where it's actually going to be Mongolia, because just about everything I feel like we use in this world is made in China, but how many of those are made by the Mongols? I'm going to say it's a trick question. It could be A or B, but I'm going to go with B, Mongolia. Because a lot of stuff was developed while the Mongols were controlling the planet.
Okay. So, and you said Mongolia is the same thing as China?
Also, the 7th century. I don't know the timeline of this. Say what? What did you say?
You said Mongolia is the same as China?
China now engulfs Mongolia, so that's like saying, is Florida and America the same thing? It's like, well, Florida's in America.
Huh. I am not sure. I'm not sure. I think that Mongolia is a sovereign country. I thought. We'll have to look it up. But this is the factoid that we're on, and this is the factoid we're going to get the answer to. Tim has guessed Mongolia, and it's China.
It's China? Okay.
Wah, wah. By the 7th century, paper had been introduced to Japan from China via the Korean peninsula, and Japanese developed washi by improving the method of making paper in the Heian period. The paper-making technique developed in Japan around 805 to 809 was called Nagishi Suki, a method by adding mucilage to the process of conventional tame suki technique to form a stronger layer of paper fibers. Why is this the factoid of the day, you might ask the elf? Because this is on the page of origami, and we are about to go into the halving. So that's a stretch that you deserved. What'd you got, Tim? What'd you find out?
Oh, yeah. So I had it backwards. I mean, Mongolia is its own country, it turns out, but it used to cover a lot more of China. So instead of China engulfing Mongolia, at one point Mongolia engulfed China. So I got those different. Listen, learn a new thing today. I knew it was Chinese. I just didn't know if the Mongols were involved with it. So I reserved the right to think that I was somewhat close, but I was way off when it comes to geography. And I don't know why. I guess we just don't talk about the country of Mongolia that often, that I didn't realize it was still its own country.
Well, Greg is giving you a way to. Yes, we all. I think we all learned something today. Greg is offering you a way to redeem yourself here, Tim. He said versus Cardano dominance, Tim. Can you look at that? I guess Cardano to Bitcoin, maybe. People saying it looks very troubling for ADA to be able to reach all-time highs 6 to 12 months because Bitcoin dominance is projected to stay above 50 to 65. There's a lot in this question. Yeah. Do you want to take it on, or do you want to give Greg a private call? How do you want to do this?
I'll address this. So I want people to understand, and some of this will be answered in my video that goes out tonight where I talk about altcoin season. But all of these people saying, oh, no, Bitcoin looks like it's going to stay up above 50 for a long, long time now. Oh, all these altcoins, it's not going to make it. Let's just matter of perspective, everybody. Look at how long Bitcoin hovered all the way up above 54, but actually was going back and forth between 73 and 60, give or take, right? We spent all this time with Bitcoin dominance way up here. And now we're talking about all the time it spent between 50 and 55. Like, I don't think that the people that make that argument really are looking at charts to make a lot of projections. Also, people who are so fudding Cardano and other altcoins, it's not altcoin season. I'm not going to talk about that right now because that's what my video tonight's going to be about, but it's not altcoin season. Let's go take a look at Cardano real quickly. Everyone's saying, oh, Cardano, it's just not doing well, not doing well at all. It on the Fibonacci, it only made it to 0.5. It's only up from the bear market bottom a measly little 200 and 300% give or take versus Solana's up over 1,000. Oh, so Cardano's not gonna make it, guys. Well, back here, it didn't even make it to 0.5. It only made it to 0.382. It only rallied during that whole little pre-halving bull market. It only rallied 311%, a little bit more than right now, but it was a more immature coin, so that's easier to rally higher. It then would go on. I'm sure that the people saying it was dead was back in play. It would fall 72%. Then COVID would happen. I don't count COVID as something to track and say it's going to repeat, but COVID, of course, were to take it to a lower level. You're telling me that back here in March of 2020, as we are sitting lower than what we had the original bear market bottom in December of 2018, that people weren't fudding on Cardano and saying it was dead and over? Oh, wait. It's because the altcoin season hadn't hit yet. If you just be patient, Cardano would go on to rally 16,000% 160x from that measly fall of COVID. Let's say COVID never happened. Still a pretty good return of roughly 116x, 11,000% gains. So when I hear people saying, oh, look at what's happening right now, the Bitcoin dominance is probably going to stay high and Cardano's not performing very well, so it's screwed. I am not predicting a repeat of 160% gains, 160x gains on Cardano. In fact, this is one of the coins that I actually, when I'm going to readjust my predictions, I'm not as bullish on Cardano as I was necessarily a couple of months ago. I'm looking at some things, but I still have the bearish case scenario. We hit new all-time highs. More realistic scenarios, we still have a lot of money left to make here in Cardano. But I want to start off by just telling you guys, anyone who's looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart and saying, oh, yeah, we're going to stay higher for longer, or looking at the Cardano chart and saying, yeah, Cardano's really disappointing, they just haven't studied their history. They haven't gone back and looked at past bull markets. They haven't looked at how Bitcoin responds, how altcoins respond. It's too early to be freaking out. Is there an outside chance Cardano flops and doesn't do well? There's an option for everything, guys. There's an option that everything in the crypto world gets banned. It's not likely, but it's an option. There's an option that the grid goes down and everything on crypto. There's so many things you could say are technically playable, but there's not been the signs, the evidence to make people legitimately think that, other than a 3-letter word called FUD. That's the only evidence at this point as to why Cardano's going to underperform and Bitcoin dominance is going to stay above 50%. There's no other evidence in play other than FUD. Historically, we're still on track to do what we've always done and have a little bit more rally. I think Bitcoin dominance still gets to 60% and then a tumble. But if you want to know why that is, that's what tonight's video is about. So I'm not going to give away the juice today. Or in this live, I'm going to give away the juice in my video. You got to come back at 6 p.m. tonight, and you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Is that something that people are saying, Tim? Because Gary Cardone, he was watching the 9 a.m. stream this morning, and he said, "Give me the juice, T-Shroom." Is that what all the cool people are saying? I guess so. Because now you're saying it,
I mean,
Tim.
Gary's pretty cool, and I would think I'm pretty cool. So maybe that's
we got a new member here. Wade Flowers just became a member.
What's up, Wade?
Let's go. So Wade,
glad to have you here.
If you know Discord, then you're good to go. But if you ever become a member here on the Investing Bros, all you got to do is you can Google how to connect your Discord to YouTube, and then you can get into our Discord. Again, if you've been on Discord a lot, you probably already know how to do that. But you just go into the settings of Discord and just connect your YouTube account with Discord, and then any YouTube membership that you get, you'll likely reap the rewards in the Discord as well. So very good. Very good.
Snowman makes an interesting point. He said it's because OJ died. So maybe that's what's bringing it back. And I'm about to say, like, here you go. You guys tune in to the show to hear crypto, to hear Tim rants, and to hear conspiracy theories, right? Everyone loves a good conspiracy theory. I'm going to camp out on one for a second. Not very long. I'd never heard of this theory. And of course, I'm reading the evidence of this theory on the internet. So you got to take everything on the internet with a grain of salt. But T-Shroom, have you heard the conspiracy theory that doesn't sound like that much of a conspiracy theory, that OJ is actually innocent and he might have been protecting his son.
No, I've not heard that.
Yeah, there's so I
That
don't know if
wasn't in the
anyone else has seen
Netflix
this on the internet.
documentary.
No, it's not. It's not on the Netflix documentary. Okay, just a couple of things again. I'm reading this, so if someone says these are false facts, let me know. But
False
of
facts.
course, it's at his house, so they're going to find OJ's fingerprints. But there was fingerprints found at the scene that no one identified. They did not take his son's fingerprints. His son was known to have psychotic breaks and was a violent person. Had to go in and out of rehab, had gotten into several fights a lot of times. Also, the other person that died, the person that his wife was having an affair with, had bruises on his hands and arms that are congruent with fighting. Like, so he fought back against his attacker. Well, what do you usually see on a person that attacked and there's a fight? You'll see bruises on them as well. OJ had no bruises. So there's not a lot of evidence that OJ fought the person. There's also pictures of his son throughout the entire process that, based off what was happening, he looks, as his dad actually is called innocent, he looks worried. And a lot of people are speculating, is it because potentially he thought they were going to turn the attention to him? But they never opened up the investigation. He was never questioned. He never collected his fingerprints. They didn't analyze him whatsoever. And there's a lot of things that potentially could point towards, was OJ actually innocent? And was he just protecting his son? Did the whole thing get orchestrated so that the attention would be on him knowing that the evidence wouldn't point to him when it came to like fingerprints and the bruises and everything else? It was an interesting conspiracy theory that I was like, you know what? I'd never heard of that before. That's it. That's interesting.
Wow, man. That is just something that you said, and I cannot believe you said it. Did you just say that? That's crazy.
Wow. I feel very encouraged
reaction.
by your uplifting there. It's 4:06. We have like 10 minutes, guys.
You put a lot into that, Tim.
Let's
let
get
me
into
give you.
I was intrigued by that theory. Listen, you know what, T-Shroom? The Bible says that we do not hope for the worst, we hope for the best. Love hopes all things. I want to hope, everyone, if the whole world is against, how sad would that be? If the whole world is against OJ and calls him guilty and in reality he's innocent.
I don't know. Didn't he win a Super Bowl or something? Didn't he? He kind of had his moment.
And he won like a Heisman, and yeah, he was a good athlete. But my point is, how sad would that be if
sad.
Everyone's so convinced that he's guilty, and the truth, because that's what I care about. The truth is that he's not. The truth is he's not guilty. I like these concepts of potentially giving people the benefit of the doubt. Let's get to the Q&A though, because people.
Well, I was going to harken back really quick just to kind of. I think the majority of people listening and watching right now share in the opinion of Kyle Fields when he said, "Don't care because the majority don't understand it." I love it. Guys, there we go. Love it. All right. What are the questions? What are the answers?
Not sad if he was hiding the truth. True. I guess if he was hiding the truth, that's not great either. But Arc Block TA. What was Arc Block's ticker again?
Arc Block? I think it was just ARC.
That's what you would say.
ABT.
It looks like ABT, yeah.
Yeah. It's up today. Getting a nice bid higher, old Arc Block.
Let's take a little look at Arc Block. Had a small correction here. I think we did TA on this like a couple of weeks ago. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, I remember it.
Came down. If we did it more recently, I think I would have imagined saying keep an eye on the Smart Trail concept. So we're hitting the take profit on the daily chart. We're hitting that Smart Trail concept. There is an order block slightly below us, but if we're setting higher lows, we're not going to hit that one. As far as everything else going involved, MACD's bearish, but check it out. Take a look at the oscillators. Been bouncing on that 50 now for a while. When was the last time? Look at this. This is just a very pretty chart of RSI action. All right. Look at how long we stay below the 50 right here, T-Shroom, right? So we just keep rejecting on the 50. That entire time, lower highs and lower lows, right? Bearish action. We pop above that 50 when? At the bottom. And now, since this date back in October of 2023, it has bounced off the 50 several times, and it is doing it, it looks like currently, once again, as we're hitting take profit. This is potentially a bullish chart right here. I mean, I like that. I like the MACD. Even though it's been bearish now since the top, it looks like it's curving over. We have lighter histograms right there. And we're looking at the daily Lux Algo. oscillator. We have a green reversal. We haven't flashed bullish momentum, so this isn't the catalyst to take a long. But that money flow, after kind of going sideways, is flashing potential positivity right there. So I'm not ready to long just yet on this one, but I'm not shorting this one. I think there's potential room to the upside in the future. That's the daily chart. So we're talking about the next couple of weeks. 4-hour chart just now flashing by with take profits above us and order blocks above us. MACD's keeling over. The RSI just crossed the 50 and looks like it just rebounded to turn it into support. These are all very bullish signs. Money flows positive, bullish momentum. We do have a red reversal dot, but we could ignore that one. So I see more positivity on Arc Block right now than I do negative feelings about it. What time we got? 4:10. Let's see. Somebody else asked for another one. XLM says B-Ball Golf 72. XLM.
That's some good alpha, Tim. So people shout out tickers all the time. Sometimes they're just trying to shill their bags, which that's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but sometimes people shout out stuff when it's actually in a pretty good buy zone. I think that was, what was that? ABT? What was it?
ABT?
ABT, yeah. What's this one? XLM? Monero?
It was Drew Pieces. I'm sorry. I was a bit underestimating Tim's TA is correct more than 60% of the time every time. 60% of the time, I'm right.
XLM is not Monero, guys. I'm sorry. It is Stellar Lumens.
It's Stellar Lumens.
I'm over here being crazy.
He needs some milk.
I think Monero's XMR, right?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Very similar looking chart. Very similar looking chart to what we have going on with XRP, where you had that really exciting July, and then it's been kind of disappointing ever since, with the exception of we had a brief moment of happiness here in March here with XLM. Recently, big wick down here. Let's take a look. What's going on? Well, first of all, I didn't even do this on the other one. Let's take a look here. Fibonacci. Are we at a significant level right here? That was not clean, but it is what it is. Came back down to the platinum pocket bearishly, so that's a good little level to bounce. Let's see what Lux is saying. Definitely came down, hit our nice order block. That's a good, strong reversal order block. Got into the green support cloud, hit our take profit. So good signs so far in the daily chart. The MACD slowly curving. The RSI overextended. Looks like it wants to come back up to the upside. We still have negative money flow, but we've got a couple different reversal calls, and you see that oscillator keeling over. Let's see if we can get a bullish momentum and that the money flow head back to the upside, because this is a coin drastically overextended at the moment. From a 4-hour perspective, flashing more bullish. MACD's clearly going to the upside. RSI back at the 50. After flashing very much oversold, back with the 50. Can we break through? That's going to be the question right there. Keep an eye around 11 cents where that smart trail concept is. But if we can break that, maybe we make a move up above 10, up above to 12 cents, give or take. What I want to see here, let's see. Green reversal back here. Yeah, green reversal, positive money flow. Okay, so this is a potential long situation based off of the oscillator here, where we did have the green reversal, bullish money flow, bullish momentum. It's hard to see because it's beneath the cloud. There was excessive sellers in that are now gone. That sometimes is a good, almost like rubber band effect that shoots price in a certain direction. In this case, we're looking to the upside. Again, trade cautiously, but to me, I almost look at this and say potential long scalp up to roughly 11 cents, maybe a little higher, 11 and a half cents, where that smart show concept is. If you're feeling risky and you want to take you want to risk it for the biscuit, maybe hold out till 12 cents to where the take profit is. Longer term, I like what I'm seeing, but I just need to see the money flow go back positive to feel good about what XLM is doing right now. Let's see here. I think that's probably going to wrap it up for today. I got to get out here and shoot that video to give you the juice at 6. Is that going to be a new thing? Should that become a new TA Tim sentence that I'm going to give you the juice? That doesn't sound good. I don't like it. No. I think I'm going to make that initial decision to say we're not going to go with that catchphrase whatsoever.
Yeah, it happens. When you talk every single day live, in my case, it's an hour and a half a day. In your case, it's an hour. Well, you're on Discover Crypto every once in a while too. So
I'll be on there. I'll be on I'll be up with Josh Nichols over at Stocks with Josh. I'll go on Paul Barron. Sometimes you got to try things out. In the world of comedy, that's what they do. They go do stand-up comedy at the lower level bars and see what works and what doesn't work. And then if it works, they go on stage.
Sure.
Some large. This is we test it out here. We test out what's good, what's not good. We've made a final decision. We're not going to roll with giving you the juice or squeezing the juice or anything about that, because it's just not good.
I've
not
got some
good, it has
alpha
too
here
many
for the
connotations.
bros who have stuck around and that are smashing the like button here at the very end of the show. That is that Coinbase earnings are going to be on the May the 2nd. Now, the last earnings was a beat, and the price per share moved to the upside quite nicely for Coinbase. But that was for Q4. What is coming out is now for Q1, and that is when all of the fees that Coinbase has collected from all of the ETF issuers for being the custodian for those ETFs. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that I've crunched the numbers and I know exactly how much those fees are going to be and how much it's going to beat the earnings per share estimate.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. I am not selling my Coinbase in the run up to this earnings, especially considering that Coinbase has had a nice little pullback here with the rest of the crypto exposed market. All the way back down to 205, it looked like we had a wick down, filling this gap, I will say. So there's now that that bear sell thesis is now taken out, which is nice to see. So overall, just wanted to give you guys a little bit of last minute into the show alpha here on the Investing Bros. I'll be live 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Well, here's one more thing before we go. We're wrapping it out here. It's 4:16. We have run long. Well, we're going to give this one more go. If you guys want the juice, that's a lucky, as a special blessing to you guys who have stuck around. We told you guys yesterday we were going to do a giveaway. We've hit over 13,000 subscribers. We're pushing towards 14 here very quickly, but we're going to give away $100 to one of our Discord members. So go to my screen here, T-Shroom. If you guys are watching these two guys right here on your screen and you're saying, man, how do I enter to win $100? What you're going to do is you're going to scroll down here in the description. Look at all this beautiful stuff. We got iTrust Capital over here.
Whoa.
We got ALGO. You can get an Uphold Wallet. You can go to get Blofin and trade with us today. Nice. Anyway, you keep coming down here, and you can choose this one right here, become a member. But this is the one you're going to want. Free Investing Bros Discord.
A little higher. Scroll. I can't see
right
it.
There.
Scroll a little higher.
Oh, am I blocking it? Right there. Free Investing Bros Discord. Click on that link. Go into our Discord. Get verified. And comment, we got the juice. And I will choose one of you guys to give $100 away to. Thank you to every single one of you for sticking around. We had so many people in here today. Over 470 votes on that poll. Looks like a lot of you guys think that we're going to dump. But on your way out, if you have not done it already, smash the like button. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed the show and want to not miss a single episode of this chaos ever again. With that said, love you guys. See you tomorrow. Adi.
Os.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.